Welcome, everybody. This is Graybeard on the Twisted Pair.
And I am Fine Ash Red. And today we have the one and only awesome Albert Seasons. And I just butchered her last name.
Cisneros.
Cisneros.
Yeah, we
Cisneros.
were practicing. I'm gonna give you a new last name. I'm gonna make it more like
We'll call him Albert Seaman because his last name starts with a C and he's from Chicago.
Yes.
That's it.
Chicago.
Shy.
Chicago.
Albert
Chicago.
Shy. Albert Shy.
And in the bottom corner, we have Albert coming to you live from wherever you are. How are you doing, man?
Man, I am great. I am great. It's a beautiful day to be smoking cigars, man.
No, we've got the swag on.
Gotta show off your swag.
We
I
got
got
we
it.
got
I
the
got it.
swag.
See,
For
there
for
you go.
for the man. So you are what is your Rojas? You're the second face or the third face of Rojas. Followed by the lady of Rojas, the queen of Rojas. But what is it that you do for Rojas? Just really quick before we get into pairing, because I'm curious.
Okay. In a nutshell, I am the guy that takes care of everything in the U.S. So I'm the VP of sales for Rojas Cigars. And not only do I take care of the sales side, I also take care of everything else. So I have a multi hat kind of thing going, which is good. I like it. Keeps me busy.
Very good. So
It's
what do
always
we
going to the airport to pick up a shipment.
Always.
and calling back to Noel and saying, Noel, we're missing something here.
Yes.
So,
Yeah. Yes. I am the VP of sales for Noel Rojas, and I work with some a good fine group of gentlemen that they've hired in the past, and that I've hired. We have maybe about 4 or 5 reps that we work with, and we love it. We're expanding.
awesome. So, what did you bring to the pairing table? Because
So
this is the twisted pair. We're all about the pairings, not just the cigars, but the entire picture.
honestly, I'm not drinking for a little bit, but when I do drink, I like uh, I like a little vodka and tonic with my
Ooh,
carnitas.
Ooh,
that's a
Yes,
real,
ooh.
I bet that is good because we've talked about how that's kind of a difficult cigar to pair with.
yes. So I believe that the vodka really brings out all the natural flavor of the tobacco,
Hmm.
and the sweetness of the vodka. It's not just any
Hmm.
vodka. I gotta have my Tito's. So
Okay, so that was my next question. I was like, what are you drinking? Which vodka are you drinking?
yeah, so I'm drinking Tito's. That's my go-to drink. I
Okay.
love Tito's vodka. So, and shout out to them.
Hmm.
But it just brings out all the natural flavors of the carnitas, and it just pairs well. It goes well with anything else that we're drinking or smoking. But for me, it just goes extremely well because I enjoy it a little bit more. And the more I drink them, the more I smoke. So there you go.
Hey, I could think of worse things.
I know, right?
Well,
And, and,
ladies and
and so
gentlemen, welcome.
now,
We
I was
have
going
the
to say His
king.
Highness has
He
entered.
he is entered. The man of the hour is here with us. Noel Rojas, the king of small gauges. Hey there, Noel.
How you guys doing? Good to see you all.
Good to
We,
see you,
Nice
we,
to
brother.
we've
see
we've
you.
all got the swag now.
Yes.
I guess I'm the only one not wearing it today.
So Miss Ashred, what did you bring to the pairing table?
Okay, So I brought several cigars down because I didn't know which ones I was going to bring. And actually, I brought down the barbacoa instead of
Ooh.
which is one of my go-tos. But I am going to actually do. Um, Here's an interesting fact, and I don't even think Graybeard knows this. I used to smoke just like Romeo Julieta and only like name brand. I never had boutique, and Noel's was the first boutique I had ever smoked, and it was the Blue Bonnet. And so that was my first boutique cigar was a Blue Bonnet. And it's also Blue Bonnet month down here in Texas, so
Yeah.
we're gonna go with that. So I am doing it in the Lancero. And then along with it, I have a local brewery beer, and this is an amber ale, and it's brunette, and it is from Panther Island Brewery right here in Fort Worth, Texas. So
Oh,
Very
very
nice.
cool.
there it is. So that is what
Well,
I'm.
so I started off smoking, and after my meetings today, I needed to. I couldn't wait anymore. So I started off with the one that the Rojas NFG 2023, which is, by the way, is a phenomenal cigar. I normally let them rest, so like we all do, especially NFG Festival, let them rest for a while. But I smoked one right off the bat. I mean, I think after a week after we brought them home, and was just like, damn, Noel, you've hit it again. And so I started off with that one, but being that Noel, I mean the king of small gauges, I am going with the KSG.
Oh wow, one of the originals, huh?
Now, yeah, I mean you can see. I don't know if you can see the cello on this, but the cello is
Wow.
nice and orange. So this one's got a couple of years on it. So I'm going with this one. And being that this is a Texas cigar, and also funny story, Ash. So I mean, I've been smoking cigars for 32 years, and for a good 26, 20, 25, 26 of those years, all I smoked was mainstream too. I mean, I smoked a lot of Fuentes, I smoked a lot of Romeo and Julietas, Punches, uh, all of the mainstream big fours. And our other partner, Spice Man, Matt Harris, introduced me to the underground and really introduced me to boutiques. And so my very first boutique was the Statement,
Wow.
and so it was a Statement Lancero. And so I got introduced into boutique cigars by a Rojas cigar as well. But I'm keeping it Texas, and I am pairing it with a Still Austin cast strength bourbon.
Very nice. Is
So
that is that any is that sweet or peaty or
no, so it's not a it's this one is coming in I think at 115 proof. So it's
okay?
for me it's a medium proof. It's got a nice, well-rounded profile. It's got a nice little bit of spicy pepper at the end, which is going to go nice with this. But the honey and vanilla notes at the front of it is going to go nice with this cigar as well.
Nice.
But no, it's not a Scotch, so it's not peaty. It's just it's a great bourbon. It's a great bourbon. So
Okay.
Noel, to you, what are you pairing tonight with us?
He's got some rum and tequila.
I almost brought out a rum, and you're on mute, Red. I almost brought out a rum in honor. Oh, Florida, yes, the 12-year. See, and I almost brought out my 1888 rum.
Wow.
And I'm smoking a Blue Bonnet on a total size.
Very nice.
I love it. I love it.
So,
I'm sitting here talking to y'all, and y'all can't hear me because I was
I
on
know,
mute.
and I even told you you're on mute.
Yeah, he did.
So, Noel, let's just get the big question out of the way that everybody asks us. Okay, and so here we are smoking. I'm smoking a Lancero. Red, I think she's smoking a Lancero as well. And
Mhm.
we've had a lot of discussions over the last couple of weeks about Lanceros. And I've even heard other people say, "Oh man, I just can't do a Lancero because it looks wimpy in my hand. You know, I'm a big guy. You know, I'm a big guy, so I gotta smoke a larger gauge to make it look right." Why do you think that is, and what is it? I mean, because you are the king. When we say small gauge, everybody thinks of Rojas cigars right off the bat because of how you marketed and branded yourself. Why do you think it is that so many people turn away from the small gauge?
Well, it's I think it's mainly perception and knowledge. Um, Most of the people who start smoking cigars, they might start for 54s or 52s or 58s, things like that. And as they know more about cigars and they get more into it, uh, they understand the why of the flavor of the cigars, and that's when they go to the smaller gauges as they can try them and compare them versus bigger gauge cigars. It's just I mean 70% of the consumers is the type of consumer that usually smoke like one cigar a week or two cigars a week. The other 30%, which is the people that what you will call the cigar specialists, the people who know about cigars, the guy in the shop smoking one or two cigars a day. That represents the minority of the consumers, really. Even though they purchase in big volume, but it's the minority of consumers. Most of the consumers, it's just the guy who smokes one or two cigars a week. And I think eventually the knowledge get passed through those guys in the shops who knows about cigars and who knows that the flavor is usually in a small gauge cigars to the guys that they want to learn more. I think it's just a process of time. People converting to smaller gauges. They might start with a Macanudo and then they go all the way to a Padron, or it depends. They as they build their palate and they build their um, strength profile. It's just like any game. You start with the basics and then you start getting uh, more specialist type of things. If it's table tennis, you get some of the top rackets because you want to be good at the game, but you started with the simple pads.
Yeah,
And you're looking for a specific balls that give you specific uh, effects. Same with baseball, same with everything we do. We used to start in the bases and then go up, start building from there. So it's just a matter of time, and people preaching it out and letting other people know that smaller gauge is a little bit more flavor for consumers to convert to smaller gauge cigars.
that's something that we talked about with Philip Hoffman, who's manager of the Cigar Lounge up in Plano and McKinney, and he's a big time Lancero guy, and one of the things that we talked about was this the education, but he's said that he sometimes has a hard time selling Lanceros because of the very reason that that people and predominantly men who don't want to be seen with such a small gauge in there. Have you found that you've had a harder time getting into stores, or has that impacted you getting into stores? I mean, because we've seen you grow because Red and I, we've known you for a number of years since you've really were only just in the underground. Have you seen that impact any of your growth?
Well, the number one reason that I think we are where we are right now in terms of growth, it's because we're catering for the small ring gauge cigar community. That's the number one reason. And I make a simple number the other day. We were talking about this being Albert. If you use if you just count, let's say 3% of that 100% of consumers to smoke smaller ring gauge cigars and smoke, 4 cigars a month, that's more than 7 million cigars a year. And the number one reason why we have opened so many accounts, it's that's the first call or the first words you hear is we heard that you guys cater to small ring gauge cigar smokers, and we love small ring gauge cigars. So we want to take it in the store. That's the
Well,
number one. So I know the smaller ring gauge category is not for everybody,
Mhm.
but it's for the people that I feel identified with, which is what I call the cigar specialists. The people who are really into cigars. They're not just lighting up a cigar because they want to kill some time on Sundays doing some barbecue. They light up a cigar because they like it, they enjoy it.
Enjoy.
yep.
They get the aromas, they get the flavors, they get the notes. They
Mhm.
have respect and passion for the craftsmanship that goes into it. I think all of that really matters, and we might not be the Walmart of cigars in terms of you know regular mass-made products. We're more like a specific, uh, specialized type of product for a specific specialized cigar smoker, like you guys.
And please don't ever change that. I know probably 90% of my cigars are all in the small ring gauge category. I mean, every single one of them. Do I have to hunt and search for a Toro or anything bigger if I'm going to have like a 2 hour smoke?
Hmm.
You know,
I'm,
just to
I'm
I'm,
sorry to
I'm
interrupt,
sorry,
but
just to
sorry
go
to
ahead.
interrupt, but Albert is there. I'm sure he's gonna talk about that. We have talked so many times in terms of business wise about going bigger on the gauge and saying, are we missing a market? And we always go to the same page. I mean, then who is going to represent the smaller gauges guys? Who's going to be the brand for the cigar
Mhm.
specialists? Who is going to be the brand for the people who really know about cigars and they want something on a smaller gauges that is going to deliver more flavor or consistency than any big ring gauge cigar? So, I mean, Albert can tell you. Go ahead.
So, to add to what Noel was just saying, every time we do an event, I mean, there's an amount of people that always come in and they're always like, "Oh man, thank you for making small ring gauges because
Mhm.
that's all that I smoke." So, uh, and we've talked about this, like Noel has just said, but we don't want to be everything for everybody. We want to be something for somebody. So, and if we're the small ring gauges, then and you're a small ring gauge smoker, then we're your brand. That's what we want to do. That's what we want to be for you. The small ring gauge company for you.
Well, and I just know it's like because I've been to a couple of y'all's events, like outside of underground, and it's every time I go, it's only standing room only. And I mean, literally, it is hard to find a spot whenever y'all come and do an event at a shop because I think, as you said, the people who really enjoy it. And the thing is once they try it, because usually when people come in and we have several boutiques and they want something different, my go-to for them is the Blue Bonnet and the Rojas and, the carnitas and barbacoa, different kind of. That's the where I tend to take somebody who wants something different. They're not familiar with the brand. So, and especially if it's a newer cigar person, it tends to be the Blue Bonnet or Statement.
Hmm.
And then they come back and they're like, "Where's that Rojas? What else does he got? What else does he have?" And they like it because it's not so much for someone who's just now starting to smoke and they're just now their body's getting acclimated to it and they're learning the profile of cigars. Then so they actually have time to sit there and enjoy it. It's not going to take them like 2 hours, to sit there and enjoy a cigar. And then the thing is it's especially here recently with the street tacos and the breakfast tacos, and then unfinished business, and it's just kind of for me, it's been fun to see you expand, Noel, because when I first met you, it was just the statement and blue on it. And then you came out with the KSG, and that was blew my mind. But then when it was the street tacos, I was like, no, what's he going to do with this one? This one's going to be different and unique. So, I mean, it has been really fun. But I kind of want to go back, is because, like, you came here to America, and from what, from the story, is you were rolling cigars out of the back of your car. Is that correct?
No.
Okay. See, there's always rumors around. So I want to get the truth.
you
What
you
is the
should
truth?
you should have kept it at that because that would have been a great story.
He came over from his boat and started rolling cigars. His raft is in there.
Noel was selling cigars he was rolling to the French and in Cuba.
No, well, when I came from Cuba, I spent the first 5 years in Miami. Then I moved to Nicaragua, and I opened the factory here. I went through uh, some partnership that didn't really work out, and I realized something that we could make the best cigars in the world, but if I didn't understand the U.S. market or the market for the cigars in general sense, I will never be able to make it. So by the fifth years being here in Nicaragua, which I met a lot of people that helped me a lot along the way, I went back to the States and I started learning about the cigars or about the cigar industry at the level, at the cigar store level. The why the consumer will buy a particular cigar. What are
Okay.
they looking for in a cigar? Learning, distribution, and learning all the permits that I need to, because it was another company before handling my distribution. I wanted to have control over the distribution and who we sell cigars to. I made sure our customers have good customer service. So I was rebuilding all of that probably during 2 years. During those 2 years, I was rolling cigars at Renegade Cigars in Texas, and I learned a lot just rolling cigars there, asking consumers and giving them different tobaccos to try and what do you like. We have done this also on underground a lot. See,
Hmm.
trying to discover what is really on the palate of the people that smoke cigars, what they really are looking for, what they want. And it really helped me a lot, especially that I live in Texas and I got all you guys and friends in Texas get the feedback of different tobaccos and what you guys think of the different tobaccos. It gave me a lot of knowledge that when I decided to come back to Nicaragua to reopen the factory, uh, it was a go. There was not stopping. Everything was super smooth, and that's when we came out first with the statement. Then we came out with the bonnet, um, and breakfast tacos, street tacos, all of the cigars we have come out with, and everything that we have accomplished so far is really based on the knowledge that I gain by interacting with consumers and listening to what they think and what they like.
And right there, I want to, you do listen. And I am so grateful that you do because, like, I talked to some people, blenders and owners, and they've asked for the feedback, and I always say, if you don't want me to be honest, don't ask for my feedback.
Right.
It's just kind of anytime I've said something or we've spoken, I'm like, okay, this one's really really good. Da, da, da. You, anybody in our circles always talks about how you always listen and you take it to heart what is said. And sometimes that doesn't happen. So I want to say thank you for doing that. And please, and I know you'll continue to do it, but when he says that he really does listen to consumers, y'all, he does. He takes it to heart and wants to make it the best experience that you can have while you're smoking one of his cigars.
I've talked to a number of different shop owners just through all of the states that we've been in and that carry your cigars, and that's one of the top feedbacks that we hear. When we're interviewing shop owners, when we're interviewing other manufacturers, other rollers, they talk about two things about you, or three things. One is your passion for the small gauge. Two is just your exceptional talent when it comes to blending, which we'll get to that in a minute. But just to come back with what Red is saying is you do listen to the consumers. And I remember when you brought your prototype, so to speak, for the street tacos into the underground for all of us to try. You were asking
Mhm.
each of us, what do you think about this? What kind of cut did you do with this? Why did you do this cut? What profile? What notes are you getting? You came up to me and you said, what notes are you getting out of this cigar, Great Beard? And I remember you really taking that in with all of us on that, and we appreciate that because not everybody does. Finding that the boutique owners lean more towards that than the what I call the big owners, the big brands, but you really do bring that home, and I hope you keep that up.
I would definitely will.
Well,
At the end of the day, I can make as many cigars that I want based on my taste. I'm not gonna smoke them all. The idea is to actually please consumers with the best cigars that they can get based on their different palate. And if you see on our line of cigars, um, it's like it's like a buffet where you have all different sorts of profiles and wrappers,
mhm.
or different profiles and wrappers for different profile consumers. Somebody wants a medium to full body cigar. We have the statement, which is just one blend, one wrapper. They want something mild to medium. Then we have the blue bonnet for them. They want something more smooth and creamy with a medium body. We have the street tacos. They want a short smoke. We have the breakfast tacos now. And then, every blend that we make is just trying to make it different from everything else on the portfolio so it doesn't compete with each other. Number one. And number two, we add another choice for those guys that are looking for something different.
Mhm.
So
We had. Are you going to come up with a question?
yeah, we got a question from the other Albert, who's also from Chicago. Who came up with the idea of the taco series?
Albert, do you want to tell the story?
So actually, Noel came up with the story. I mean, with the idea. But here's the thing that a lot of people think that Street Taco is a gimmick cigar, and it's actually not a gimmick cigar. It's
Mm-mm.
one of our best-selling brands that we have. And Noel is down in Mexico, and he's actually working buying tobacco for all the other stuff that we use San Andreas for. And after work, they told him, "Hey, man, we're going to take you down to this place, and there's going to be all these taco stands, but we're going to take you to the best one, and these are going to be the best street tacos you've ever had in your life." And Noel says, "Bro, like, come on, man, I'm from Texas. I can get good street tacos in Texas." And they said, "Okay, we're going to leave it at that." So they go down to this place, and he shows up, and they have the trompo going, right? And he says it's big, and they're chopping it up and stuff. And 23 tacos later, he says, "I have a great idea of calling my next cigar a street taco." So Noel, you said you could eat 10 more after the 20, right?
Those, was, those are the best tacos I ever eat in my life. And
Uh,
I asked them, they told me they sold somewhere between 300 to 500 pounds of meat every day. I mean, those tacos were the best one. And not only the flavor wise, but it's
mhm,
those foods that you eat and you can just eat as much as you can get.
mhm.
Still, you don't get any afterburn. You don't get any.
Mhm.
reflux in your stomach. And you feel
Mhm.
like you eat like fish. It was like
Mhm.
super fresh meat, right?
Oh man,
Yeah,
Uh,
smooth.
it's the place,
Oh.
and that's when I came out with the idea. On the other side of it, uh, I mean, we're all from Texas, and I think I wanted to make the Rojas branding or the brand identity to be a Tex-Mex because I mean Texas is
Mhm.
Texas, right?
Yeah.
So the Rojas brand identity, it's I wanted to mix it up with a Tex-Mex,
Mhm.
and I think that worked out really well because I
It,
mean it's
they're great. They're great. The only thing, okay, I'm going to tell you about. Well, I like the breakfast tacos, so I've had my little breakfast tacos. But the only thing, and they are a great smoke, breakfast smoke thing. But if you're smoking it in the car, it looks like you're smoking it. And I'm like, crap, I'm gonna get pulled over because the police is thinking that, oh, she's in there smoking a little doobie there.
I gotta say that would be a pretty thick doobie.
Yeah. But I was just like, oh my god. But so I kind of want to get to the because the first one was barbacoa out of the street tacos, correct?
Mhm.
right.
And then it was carnitas, and then you did the breakfast tacos. But we were sitting there because it was kind of like NFG. You just come out with them about that time, or right before NFG, and like I mean, there was some of that barbacoa meat taste to it. And I'm sitting here thinking, I have lost my mind. I'm like, I mean, because I was like, it's really good. It's got that earthy taste. And I look at one of the, like Tiffany, and then she goes, is anyone else getting like a street taco taste to it? It's like, I mean, for real, or is it just playing tricks on my mind? And then she goes, I'm even getting a little bit of guacamole.
I remember that. I remember that.
You were there.
Our cello is organic too. We grow our own cellophane.
Really. I did not know that.
Yeah, we have cellophane trees, that we pull.
You pull the cellophane leaves from, and and you cure them till they get that nice
Yeah,
translucent. Yeah, okay.
yeah,
So
yeah,
do you have your own cellophane barn that is
yeah.
separate from the drying barns for the
We have
tobacco?
50 acres of cellophane that we grow every
uh,
year. So,
And it's 15 years age plastic.
uh, it's already coming out yellow, so you think you have an old
yeah,
cigar.
it's all
So
organic.
it's all organic. So unfinished business. Now, because that was different and unique, and that was first came out with NFG, and you said, "Red, tell me what you think about it." So I smoked it and I posted it, and because like we had just had the carnitas and the barbacoa, and I'm thinking, okay, he can't top this. He can't top it. This one, and then you made unfinished business. That was a grand slam. That was just phenomenal. It didn't matter what I paired it with. I would pair it with like smoked wagon whiskey. I could pair it with a stout. I could pair it with a beer. And it was just one of those things that transitioned. And it was a beautiful smoke. And the retro hell was just amazing on it.
Still is amazing on it.
Yeah, it still is amazing.
It still is
So,
amazing. And it's the retrohale on it is one of the few cigars that you can retrohale throughout. I mean, when I'm smoking an unfinished business, I'm retrohaling on every exhale, and it's not burning my sinuses. It's just a nice full completion of the entire
it's
profile of the
dangerous.
cigar.
It is dangerous.
Wait.
So when unfinished business was coming out, I was just coming on board with Noel,
Hmm.
and I'm in Nicaragua visiting the factory, and this is at the old factory before we moved over to the new factory. And Noel and I were talking, and we're walking the pilones, and he's just pulling tobacco out, and he's all like, "Here, smoke this. Here, try this. Here, try that." And I'm like, "Holy cow, okay." And then we get back to the factory, and he makes me a cigar. I was like, "Okay, this is great." And man, when I smoked at the factory, it was so good. I was like, "Man, this is gonna be a great hit." And truth be told, it's actually one of my favorite. It is my
Hmm.
favorite smoke. It is my favorite smoke because
Excellent.
I actually I like to take pride in this. I like to say this. It's like I was there when Noel was pulling the tobacco from the pilones. He was telling me, "Here, try this tobacco, try that tobacco." And when people ask me, I tell them like, hey, I guess I could say, hey, I have something to do with this blend because,
Hmm.
I was there when he was pulling all these leaves out of the pilones, and man, it was a great experience for me. And just the cleanness of the cigar, the
It
sweetness, the
is.
smoothness.
Hmm.
I mean, all the way around, very complex. It was awesome, and to experience it firsthand, I was
Hmm.
like, wow, this is whew, how could you
it,
not fall
I'm
in love with
jealous of
this
your
cigar?
moment.
I
That would have been like really, really a cool moment. But
I am too.
it is a complex cigar, and it sets it apart because it's like, as you were saying, you have this, you know, the blue bomb in it. Blue bomb is more of the mild. Then you have your statement, which is just, that strong. It's the same wrapper, binders, fillers, everything. But then unfinished business, it just takes you on a trip, and it's almost like you don't know what you're going to, how it transitions from the first third to the second to the third, and you get different hints and flavors throughout. It's just a really
It,
neat
it's the San
experience.
Andres. It's the San Andres binder that we're using.
Yeah.
I
And see,
can
I
see
like San
that.
Andreas.
So
I love
this
San Andreas.
really the secret behind that particular blend. When you have Mexican wrapper, which is the one we use for some of the custom blends we made, and the stamen, not all the wrapper is even. So you get a certain percentage depending of the quality of wrapper that I get, that I can't really use it as a wrapper. And then the question came. I said, well, what am I gonna do with all this wrapper that I can't use as a wrapper, right? What if I make a cigar and I use it as a binder, so I can add this flavor to the binder, mix it with Nicaraguan tobacco, so it actually increase the flavor you're getting from. One second, I just need to take this.
Go
Uh,
ahead. Go ahead.
So yeah,
So
so we're using
finish the story.
so so we're using the San Andres wrapper that we can't use for all the other cigars that we make. That use the San Andres wrapper. We're using it in the as a filler
Hmm.
for this unfinished business, and then adding all the Nicaraguan tobacco in it too. So it just kind of brings it all
Hmm.
together. It binds it all together, and that's why you get all these different notes from different
Hmm.
flavor profiles from it. Just because we're using that San Andres binder instead of a wrapper, we're using it as a binder.
So what wrapper is on the unfinished business? Because I thought
It,
it was a San Andreas wrapper.
no, it's actually the same wrapper as the barbacoa Sumatra wrapper.
Sumatra wrapper.
Mhm.
Okay, so that's the Sumatra wrapper is what's bringing out those nice earthy notes to it,
Well, a
where
little bit of spicy.
with a little
Yeah.
bit of
Yeah.
spicy, and where the San Andreas is bringing out that creamier, chocolatier
Right.
type of notes with its own unique spiciness, and then you've got the Nicaraguan fillers,
Got that pepper.
which is a different type of spiciness, more of the peppery, along with more of that volcanic
Yes.
grainy, gravelly type notes that we've grown to love from Esteli and Condejo.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
that explains why it goes so well with so many different types of pairing, so many different types of drinks.
Hmm.
Yes. And you know what? Unfortunately, we had created a very cool like design for the unfinished business, which was going to be
Yeah,
that cowboy.
that was my question. You're in
Yeah.
my head. I was like, what? Whatever happened? Because I'm thinking such a cool picture of cowboy boots with my gun and bullets
Yeah.
and whiskey, and it was on the NFG with the cowboy, and
Right.
he's like, his hat's down. It looks like he's playing poker.
Right.
And I wish I had the wrapper down here so they could see it. But yeah, why didn't it get on the cigar on the boxes?
So it looks great on print. When you put it on the wall, it looks great. It looks perfect. But when you print it on paper, yeah, it just didn't look great at all. So it was just one of those deals where the quality of the design wasn't there. So what do you do with 20,000 bands, of unfinished business? You toss them because there's no use
Oh,
for them.
Oh man, I can't
it
even
was
think of 20.
unfinished.
I can't even think of 20,000 bands because when
Yeah.
we get our cigars from you, I'm like, okay, how do I get another 100 bands? Because I'm running low on the bands. So to think of 20,000, and ours
Yeah.
is just the simple
Yeah.
logo printed on it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I still have like a video that Noel sent me when we were looking at, literally, this is like 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks before the trade show last year. And Noel sends me a picture and he goes, "Bro, it's not gonna look good." And I'm
Uh-uh.
like, "What?" He goes, "Yeah, it's not gonna look good." And he sends me a video of the band. No, it didn't look good at all. And I'm like, "Oh man," so it's like panic mode, right? Like, "Oh, what are
Hmm.
we gonna do?" So luckily we were able to figure something out quickly and
Hmm.
and be able to release it at the PCA last year.
Well,
So
and the, oh, I was just gonna
I,
say their setup.
Hey, sorry, I have some people working on the fermentation of the
Yeah.
Pinot now, and they were asking me for a couple of things. Um,
no, business is always going on, brother. You do what you got to do.
so I'm pretty sure Abel told you about, but basically, we're using a wrapper underneath another wrapper, so you get,
Hmm.
full, almost double wrapper. It's not in 100% of the cases, but probably 50% of the cigars are made with that under, second wrapper. We use also binder from Mexico to make some cigars because we're making a lot of them right now. So it's a mix between the binder. The binder tastes as good as the wrapper. It's just the wrapper
Hmm.
usually has a little bit more flavor into it.
Hmm.
So when I'm curious, and I've asked this question to Karen, I've asked this question to Luciano, and other blenders. What when you're coming up with an idea of a cigar, for a blend, how do you go about the process of saying, okay, I know I want this wrapper, this binder, these fillers from these particular regions, or I mean, do you have something in mind as you're coming into it, or are you just experimenting with different types of blends and to go and okay, that hits on what I really like how that one hits, and then you go from there. What is the process?
Well, when you really know about what profiles you get from different tobaccos, it's like if you're cooking beans or you're cooking meat, I'm pretty sure you guys, you top of your head, you said, this meat, if I add, this much
Mhm.
pepper and this much um, paprika and this much salt and this much butter and this much, I'm gonna get this flavor. So it's kind of the
Mhm.
same process. You already know the flavors in your mind, and you just
Mhm.
put it together how it should taste in your mind, and then you just build the cigar and make it. It's very very similar to cooking. It's almost the same thing.
And it's pretty much consistent answer that I get from everybody else, and that's what I love about it. And honestly, I've talked to a lot of different people, over the past couple of years of who their top 10, top five blenders are, and we're seeing how Noel Rojas is coming up into that list of the top five, and you're in my top five right there with AJ, right there with Carrillo, uh, and Luciano, and no, and you. So there's four of my top five right there, and that just I think goes to show the quality of what you're putting out and the uniqueness of the blends, because you can distinctly identify the statement from the Blue Bonnet, from the Unfinished Business
Mhm.
to the KSG, to even your different house blends that you put out for the Cigar Lounge and
Mhm.
for the UG. That quality is consistent all the way through, and the uniqueness is all the way through.
Thank you. Thank you. For me, the number one thing on cigars have to be balance. Now,
Mhm.
profile wise, we all have different, different palate, and we can receive or perceive flavors in a different way. Um, there is, a general rule, but mainly, some people will have more perception or more uh, taste for sweeter things. People will have more taste for sour things. Some people will have more taste for uh, pepper things. It just
Mhm.
depends how your palate's actually built, right? But one thing that everybody's gonna feel, it's balance.
Mhm.
Yep.
If a cigar is not balanced, it's gonna be. I mean, it's something that no matter how you perceive flavors, the balance is a physical thing or a physical manifestation that you will get in your mouth. And
Mhm.
you see when a cigar is not balanced, it's just it's not pleased to smoke, and that's the number one
Mhm.
thing for us when it comes to cigars.
Yeah. Well, and one thing is like what I like is you have a variety. I mean, we kind of a little bit talked about that, but you have variety throughout your cigars. You know, there isn't one like the other because like there's some, and usually some brands will have one consistency kind of like that they're known for, and yours is just like it's just whatever you're feeling and whatever you put out. It's like you don't have a stick except for it's the small written gauges. That's where you showcase it. And I think that is really neat because it allows someone to come in and, when I'm working at the shop, that's why I like to say, here, if you're looking for this, try this in a Noel. And then they come in, they're like, oh, I like this. What other things do they have? And I'm like, well, this one's going to be different. And they enjoy trying the different aspects of it. So I've got to
I
give
I
props to that.
Yes, I got to agree, and this kind of goes back to what you were saying earlier, Red. Is that one of the things that I've done is I've had people come up to me and ask me, well, I'm new to cigars, and I don't want to smoke the Oliva O or the Oliva G anymore. I don't want to smoke these name brands. I want to get into some boutiques. You have something that fits just about everybody's types of profile, whether they want that lighter, smoother, medium body, lighter body, you know, nice earthy grain type cigar, or if they want a powerhouse kicker, kick you in the cojones type cigar. You've got different types of profiles for every type of smoker that's out there, and not a lot of people will do that. I've seen a lot of blenders that they roll what they enjoy, especially when it comes to newer blenders. They're going to roll what they enjoy, and you really do lean towards what the different consumers are going to want.
And can
So
I add that Noel is also a great cook. He's a great chef. Just as well as he blends, he knows how to cook. So I mean, it goes hand in hand.
is
I
he
mean,
and McGee gonna have a throwdown?
man, you know what? It would be nice to do so. Noel can throw down on some cooking, and I've had his cooking in the past, and it's damn good.
Well, at least we know that Noel's not a vegetarian like McGee.
so, so I want to go back to the factory because you have the new factory and it is absolutely gorgeous. I look at it and it makes me think of like, back when the like in Greece, the palace to the gods. It's kind of got that with the big columns and that. But then you go in and then you have Texas with you. You took a little bit of Texas with you. But kind of tell us a little bit about the factory and the growth of it and how it's going because it was supposed to be around like, was it COVID that you started building it or correct? Okay.
Yeah, it was somewhere around that time. Before we actually put an eye on this particular place, I had a factory that is like a block away from this one. That was my first factory, and I always passed by this building, and I was like, that would be a beautiful place for a cigar factory because it used to be the first movie theater in Esteli, the very first
Oh.
movie theater. There's a lot of history tied to the building, and the front wasn't great, was not really good looking, and uh, when the opportunity came, without hesitation, we signed the lease. We started building. It took a year actually to complete the building out.
Mhm.
Rebuilding, we have to tear down completely the front. There was no, I mean, basically, it was just the walls. Was not bathrooms in here. We make a, a- we make a really good work on making sure we have nice bathrooms at U.S. standards.
Mhm.
We have good condition for the rollers. Good condition for the people in the office is we have AC in the whole building.
Oh wow.
It's I like them to feel comfortable when they're working and have everything they need to make the best cigars that they can make. So we decided to add the front this Western theme on the front. It was challenging because you can't find here bricks so even like you will find in the states.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So especially for the front, we have to place an order for somebody who craftsmanship. These little bricks, but they're all uneven. So we have to take, like if it were wood, we have to take all the bricks and then with a sand machine start even out all the bricks that we're gonna put in the front. It was challenging. It was really challenging. But it came out really nice. Things um, with the roof that wouldn't allow us to have a high front. We have to change a couple of things in that so we can get the front to work the way that I wanted. And I wanted to build it even more high, but we couldn't go higher than what we had because it was hard for them to actually build these columns here. It was just, and it's solid concrete. It's not just,
Oh.
it's solid.
Really?
Yeah, it is solid concrete. I mean, somebody smashed their head against those. columns. It's gonna feel it.
Good to know. So when I come to visit the factory next year, I won't go headbanging on the columns.
Yeah, we're really happy the way that it came out, and it took a year to have everything the way we wanted. But it's a place that you want to be all the time.
Hmm.
Especially my office, where it has a view to all the factory, which is
That's nice.
my office is on the place that used to be the projector,
Okay.
Oh, cool.
and the humidor is actually the stage. So what we did on the humidor, and I'm pretty sure you have seen the pictures.
Hmm.
Hmm.
The stage was just like 1.5 meters high, flat concrete. And then what we did is we built that wall with just glass. So when you walk in, get into the production area, the first thing you see at the back is just this wall of glass full of cigars.
Oh, wow.
Side to side.
Yeah, side to side. And actually, the whole interior of the humidor is um, is
Spanish
cedar,
cedar.
Spanish cedar, Spanish cedar.
Wow.
That I know that's hard to come
Hmm.
by because as I'm building boxes and I'm building humidors, desktop humidors myself because I do woodworking on the side. Finding Spanish cedar is
It's difficult.
it's really challenging, and it's not only is it challenging to find the right size pieces that you need to build something, let alone a large walk-in humidor, but it's also very costly. Spanish cedar
Hmm.
is not cheap by any means.
I can tell you that even here, it wasn't cheap at all.
Yeah.
But it definitely helps a lot with controlling the humidity on the cigars,
Hmm.
and making that merge between the
Hmm.
aromas of the wood and the cigars. It really makes a huge difference.
Let's go into that a little bit because a lot of people will ask, okay, why do you use Spanish cedar? Why can't you use just regular cedar? Why can't you use other types of woods that do hold the humidity and don't bow or cup on the humidity? Like some very nice oaks or mahoganies and such. What is it about Spanish cedar that we use those in our humidors for? What is those characteristics about it?
Honestly, I don't know. I just know that it matched very well, and it's something that has been used for years. And when you open, it's you can rarely find humidors made with real Spanish cedar. Rarely, right?
Hmm.
There was a lot of Spanish cedar back in Cuba. I remember when I was a kid. Uh, there's a neighbor of mine. She used to sell these like ice cream paletas that she would make in home.
Hmm.
But she was a carpenter, and every time that she uh, made those, she put a piece of a piece of wood, a stick, to hold the paleta, and it was
Hmm.
all Spanish cedar. And I
Oh,
remember that I didn't like it because when I was
you taste
close to
it.
it and I tasted, it's really sour. That's the thing with the Spanish cedar; it's really sour. I was always complaining about that. But when you open a humidor full of cigars with Spanish cedar, the aroma it just intensifies
Hmm.
with the Spanish cedar. I don't know what is the combination there between those two, but it really match and helps with the flavor of the cigar. You smoke the cigars and you can get that wooden
Hmm.
aroma, so that wooden taste, a little bit of that wooden taste into the
Hmm.
cigars. It just it makes a difference. It makes a big difference.
Well, and it controls, I know, the humidity better than any of the
Yeah,
other woods, like for it. And I think that's like, when you're having all those cigars in there, it it does help because of the humidity. Like, the other Albert says Spanish cedar can hold moisture and releases it back into the environment. And then Let's Love says Spanish cedar is low odor actually, but it's got great humidification characteristics. And
And
so,
what's interesting is Spanish cedar really it's not in the cedar family. It's actually in the
yeah,
mahogany family. And one of the big reasons why we don't use regular cedar is because of
no,
there's a lot of
that
notes that's
space.
in a regular cedar that would transfer over into the tobacco because of how porous the tobacco is. And so
Hmm.
we would start getting that redwood, that sequoia type cedar flavors in it.
So I have, because your beautiful wife and your daughter is just getting so big.
Oh
I'm
my
just
lord.
like, I remember when your wife was pregnant with her and her little, and then now she, like, this last, her Easter pictures, she looks so grown up. I was like, she's getting so big. She needs to stop growing. Stop. So she also rolls cigars. Now, does she help blend as well?
Well, she helped me with the blending, of course.
Hmm.
Uh, I mean, I try to, well, mainly I try to um, decide on blend based on my customers' palate, right?
Hmm.
That's number one. But everything starts from our team, which is Albert, my wife, uh, the guys here at the factory. We make a couple of cigars, smoke and see what we think about it, what we can change. Uh, we're very lucky to have now Albert on the team. He has been smoking
Hmm.
cigars. He owns the shop in the past, so he knows what people like. So that helps a lot to make those blends better as we go forward. And that's the first step. Then second step, we start making cigars, start giving it out, see what people think about it. That's what we did with the breakfast tacos. I
Hmm.
remember Albert was here. We made some cigars. We passed it out, and I will be calling Albert saying, what people tell you, what they think, what
Hmm.
do they like or not? What's going on? What's the feeling? And he's like, no, everybody likes them. You can go ahead and start making it. So that's what we did. But
So
yes, to answer your question, she's a big part of that particular process. Ben, as well as Albert, and some of the friends like you guys, every time
Hmm.
that we have something going on, we try to pass it along. And this is my other daughter, Angelina.
oh, hi there.
Hi, Angelina.
You're
How
so
are
cute,
you?
Angelina. So do you help your daddy out?
Que si tú me ayudas.
She's so cute.
She's adorable. And how old is
It's nice
she?
to meet you.
8,
8 years old.
8 years old.
She's
Good.
adorable.
She's very cute.
¿Qué necesitas? No.
And okay, so we haven't talked about the KFG, KSG, because that came out, like as I said, mentioned earlier, like during the COVID, and then 2 years later, you re-released it. So are you going to do like that as a release every couple years, or what's the news for the KSG?
Yes, we still have tobacco, the original tobacco that we use for the KSG. So the whole idea from the beginning has been, we save some tobacco aside, and we would use only a little bit of it and blend it with some of the tobaccos that are coming out to make a statement on the KSG per se. And we have plenty of tobacco for making those KSGs every year, and we go. Especially you guys will appreciate the process that we go to when it comes to the KSG. It's not just a cigar we launch there.
Hmm.
Okay, so in terms of construction, right? When you're making cigars on 38, 40 gauge, um, there is a lot of things you have to take in mind, which is the physical infrastructure of that particular cigar. And when I talk about the physical infrastructure of the cigar, is how is going to be the thickness of the tobaccos you're going to use inside? How are going to be the oils on the tobacco you're going to use on those cigars? How is going to be the burning rate on those cigars? This is just construction, talking about just construction. So let's say that I have a bale of Visus, which is the tobacco on the center of the plant, mainly responsible for the flavors on the cigars. We go through a process of sorting that bale of Visus. And like if you will have a full banana, ¿cómo se dice? Ah, pero un racimo. Racimo, ¿cómo se
Uh,
dice?
the whole strip of where the bananas come in, the
Mm-hmm.
entire strip of banana plant.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
thank you. So, like, if you have a whole strip of bananas, not all of them, all of them might be mature. Mature es que se dice, no,
Mm-hmm.
están maduros.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They're all mature, but you will see that some of them have, they're in perfect condition versus the other ones. And like when you go to the supermarket and you will start picking onions, and you just pick the ones you think you like the most, or any other fruit. There's always leaves, particular leaves. Every leaf have in their own independent fermentation. So we're looking at that bale for a particular texture, a particular color, particular oil on those leaves. And probably 30% of that tobacco actually qualifies to be part of the KSE based on what we're
Mm.
looking for. And that's why the KSE makes such an incredible cigar, and we sold out within the first day of launching it out. Every time we put it out within 24 hours, we sell every single one of them.
Mm-hmm.
And it's because we go to that particular process. It's not just any cigar that we make. There's something special about that particular cigar that goes into it. Same thing with the wrapper. There's a sorting of that wrapper. Very high quality control on that, and very high quality control also. There's just one guy who actually made those cigars, just one guy,
Oh, wow.
and he made every single one of them.
Wow.
And how many was released? How many did y'all release this last time? Because
Uh,
I bought me a box and I bought a couple extras.
The initial release was 1,000 boxes. We oversold
Hmm.
it by 100 by 15 by 500 boxes, so 1,500 boxes total.
Well, I got one, and I've got four left, and I'm waiting for more to come out. Because when more come out, I'm definitely going to be picking up another box. So just a little side note. I had asked in the chat to let our viewers know, let us know which of their what is their favorite of the Rojas cigars. And so far, we've got Les Love out of Chicago. He really loves the unfinished business.
Hmm.
It's
Oh
like
man.
red pepper and cocoa had a baby. That's a
Yes,
very interesting
perfect.
description there, Les. And then Chris Coulter says he really loves the statement Lancero and Lily of the Valley. And this brings up another good transition for you know for a question that I've got for you, is because you don't roll just cigars just for Rojas. You roll cigars for others. I mean, we've talked about. I thought I said Chicago. Sorry, Les. Yeah, he's. I mean, I thought I said Oklahoma. He's from Oklahoma, not Chicago. Um, you roll
He
cigars
wishes he was
for
from Chicago.
right. I mean, you roll the cigars. You roll the LFG for us, Leaf and Grain Society. You've
Hmm.
done that one for us for the past year, which has become a favorite of a lot of people. You've done the Lily of the Valley, and you do cigars for others as well. Talk a little bit about that, and what's your mind? What is your process on that? Is it the same process? Uh, do others that you do they come in and ask for particular profiles, or how does your inspiration go when it comes to rolling cigars for not Rojas?
well, um, Albert has been really involved on that process, and mainly we make cigars for what we call our partners, which is the cigar stores like underground and things like that. You guys, it's uh, it's really a way to help the store to identify themselves in a different way than everybody else. Um, I mean, reality is that most of the stores know that mainstream line cigars consumers can get it online cheaper in most cases. So they need a way to identify themselves and have something that the consumer will know that's the only place where they can get it, and it's something good and special. So we work with our partners, which is cigar store owners, to make sure we can help them along the way to identify themselves with different products. That's number one, like Lily of the Valley. Some cigars we made for El Fuego. The monthly releases we made for Underground Cigars. Um,
Jeremy out of Lake Worth.
they
Man,
will.
that one's phenomenal. The Jeremy out at Lake Worth, phenomenal. Okay, sorry, go ahead. I got excited.
Yeah. So, sorry. So we made that to make sure we support our retailers. There's really just one or two guys that we made cigars aside, which is one is a Stolen Throne Cigars, which is a really good
Hmm.
friend of mine. Um, Lee March, he's doing extremely well with his cigars.
Hmm.
I In this particular case, when somebody like him come on board and said, I want to make a cigar with you, I just let him blend his own cigars. I just give him
Hmm.
the basics of, okay, this is where you're gonna get. These are all the different tobaccos we have. I don't recommend you to use this tobacco
Hmm.
with this particular primings on a cigar blended this way. And then just he goes from there and he decided, he blend his own cigars, for example. I don't
Hmm.
have a take on the blend. And it's the way it should be because he wants to be proud of his blend. He wants to be proud of
Mm.
Hmm.
everything he's doing, and I think that's the way to be. It's not like, okay, here is a cigar. This is what I can do for you. Take it or leave it. In those cases, it's just up to them what they want to do or not. Uh, we really don't focus much on making cigars for other people. Um,
Hmm.
uh, just for a few guys, because we want to save the good tobaccos we have for our brand,
Yeah.
Hmm.
and of course, share with the guys that we make cigars. But there is one thing is perception, another thing is reality, and one thing we can agree is that the perception might be that you can make as many cigars as you want for uh, a big number of different brands and still make it a good cigar. I don't really agree with that because the reality in not just cigars but any product or service you see on the market is that the really really good products that are custom made or handmade, uh, they're mostly boutiques, right? And even
Hmm.
if they're, I mean, boutiques, it depends what determines a product is boutique or not. If you look at the high quality products in the market in every single uh, category, uh, you don't see them everywhere or be made by uh, mass. They made as a mass made product. You know,
Yeah.
I mean uh, Louis Vuitton bags. I mean you don't see mass made Louis Vuitton bags.
Mm-mm.
It's everybody who can get a Louis Vuitton. And I tell you, I think they're a little bit pricey, but my personal thing, my wife has one because she loves uh, bags. And one day I was just I was just messing with her, and I have the drill in the garage of the house. I didn't have any. I didn't have any drill dip or anything like that on the drill. It was just empty on the inside. And I took the bag and I said, "I'm gonna make a hole in it." She's like,
Oh, oh, I bet she had some nice words for you on that one.
"She said that I have, ¿cómo se dice barrena?
A drill bit.
Drill bit,
A
yeah.
drill
A drill
bit.
bit,
Drill bit.
drill bit. I didn't have one, but the thing that holds the drill bit is kind of sharpy, and I took it against the back, and I pressed like a little bit too hard, and I was like, wee, and then I like, oh, I fucked it up, and then I pull it out, and when I checked, it was not even a scratch on it. not even a
Oh,
scratch.
oh,
I can
my
feel it.
heart, my heart was like, I was about to go into cardiac arrest.
I tell you,
That that
those barks are well built. I can tell you that for sure. Um,
I want to know how long did you sleep on the couch after doing that?
we were checking on it, like really
No,
checking on it.
no, she was already on like checking to buy a new. She was on the website Louis Vuitton buying another one.
But I mean, my bottom line is, most of the quality things in any category, whether it's cars, whether it's bags, whether it's
Uh-huh.
watches, whether it's nice products, mostly handmade. You don't see a mass-made product.
Mm-mm.
It takes a tremendous amount of effort and work to make sure that
Mm-hmm.
tobacco is fermented the way it should be. Um, I mean, we all know that, right?
Oh yeah.
Right.
Mainstream line cigars are not the same that boutique cigars,
Right.
and the people who get into boutiques, they rarely go back to mainstream line cigars. So
I
So
haven't been back.
I
It's like you drink the Kool-Aid and you can't go back to it, because
w-
you have it and it's just different. It's like the construction, like you were saying, it's built with quality. And like one thing is like, I mean, I've knocked it, but every draw I've taken, it just stacks beautifully. I
uh,
don't have anything ashes falling on me or anything, and that's important. That's the big thing because especially when you use the short fillers and stuff, the ash will fall on you, and then you end up burning your leg and burning holes in your pants or your fishnets, and then you burn to that. And I've never had any construction issues with any of your cigars. They've always been beautiful, and so in the hand quality, as you were saying, the quality that you put into it when you're doing a hand. And the thing is you were talking about price. To me, it might be $1 more or whatever for boutique. It's really not that big of a price line for us to jump. And especially like on the ones that you were saying when you do for the shop. So, I'm at the Cigar Lounge in McKinney and Plano, and we have that. And we can't keep enough of the house cigars that you do for us because it's a phenomenal product and it's only cinco dollars, $5. You
well,
know,
I
it,
it's the same with UG. So
hmm
whenever Don gets in more of the your house blends, he'll post out on this like, okay, piranhas, because we're all called the piranhas, because whenever something comes out that we want, we just swarm it and pick it up. Um, but whenever the your house blends come out there, he'll announce it and they're gone. And I've gone in and purchased, it's great when I'm doing a tasting event, or a Red's doing a tasting event, and we can go and pick up a 20 pack bundle for for $110 and be able to share that experience with so many people of it, and I could take a house blend and put it right up against another cigar, and people will and say, okay, which one of these is the house blend, and
they wouldn't know.
9 times out of 10 they'll pick the wrong one. And it's one of your house blends, and you do the house blends for so many different shops, and I can say I am so appreciative that you have
Hmm.
done our cigar for us,
Oh yeah.
because just with our label on it and our brand on it, and people knowing that Noel Rojas has blended this for us, and and put this cigar together for us. People have picked it up all over the U.S. And I've had people contact me and go, okay, so I know Noel Rojas does your cigar. What else does he
What else
do?
does he do? Hmm.
And and that has been a vehicle not just for growing our brand, but also for expanding the Rojas family of saying, oh man, I've got to go out and pick up some of these others. And so we'll say, well, you got to try the Statement, you got to try the Blue Bonnet, absolutely get the tacos, the street tacos and the breakfast
Hmm.
tacos. And so what you're doing for your partners and for others, it it's growing the culture beautifully. Uh, on the subject of boutiques, there's a lot of there's a lot of discussion going on about what qualifies a cigar as being a boutique. What you being a boutique brand, from both of you, from Albert, being on the sales side, and Noel, being one who's known for boutiques. What does boutique mean to you?
You're
You're
muted,
muted.
Noel.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Um, I mean, for me, boutique is just something that it's made on not a huge amount of quantity, but it's mainly not focused on quantity, but actually quality. It's something that will never sacrifice quality for quantity. If we get to the point and we're reinvesting everything we're making back on growing tobacco and fermenting tobacco, because we want to get to the point that we can actually have aged tobacco for more than 3 years, and that takes a huge amount of money, because it's your yearly production times 3 or 4 years, whatever time you want, and it's just money sitting there that is not making you any money at all. It's like the guys who have a whiskey, like for example this Flor de Caña, they made this 12 years ago, right? 12 years just sitting there without producing any money at all. So it's really, really hard. It takes, I mean, if you think about it, the first time they came out with the 12-year, they have to wait 12 years to actually get some money out of that particular
Hmm.
product. And then, they start reinvesting and coming out. But it's a 12-year investment, uh,
Hmm.
in the case of the rum, right? In the case of tobacco, it's I always said for the next 5 years, we won't be able to actually touch any profits from the business. It will have to be going back to growing tobacco, because that's what's going to make the difference, and it does make a difference when you smoke a well aged tobacco.
Hmm.
It's so smooth, creamy, balanced. It does make a difference. So that's boutique. It's about when it gets to the point that we have more demand of what we can actually make, and we have to say, I'm sorry, we don't have the cigars, we don't have the product. We can cut corners and buy tobacco from another provider just to make sure we have plenty of cigars to sell. That's not going to be the case. That's what is going to make us a boutique cigar. It's making sure we prioritize quality versus quantity, as we grow our brand. I mean, you think about one of the icons brands on the market, Padron. They don't
Hmm.
have the huge factory. They don't have that Among Us factory. I mean, if you ever come here to Esteli and you pass by, you will see that it's just a regular factory. It's not a huge Mango's facility, and they have been keeping the same employees almost for 10 years, making always the same amount of cigars, growing the tobacco in the same places. That's one brand that I really look up to, because they
Yes.
Hmm.
they have make it right. And
Hmm.
that's, I mean, if there's a model that I want to follow, it's the model of Padron. The way that they have done it, it's really smart. It's really smart, and that's what
Hmm.
makes them what they are, and that's what we want to do. Is just make sure that we don't sacrifice quality versus quantity, because I think that would be the death of the Rojas brand.
Well, can I chime in? At some point, I think some people wanna put numbers to boutique, right? Like, I've had this conversation with numerous people, and they're all like, yeah, if you do anything less than 1 million cigars a year, you're a
Your
boutique
boutique.
brand, And it's like, well, okay, what number do you put on a company that that is still boutique? I mean, obviously, if you're talking like General, Davidoff, Altadis, even Drew Estate, I mean, they produce mass cigars, they're not boutique, right? But
Hmm.
sometimes they still call themselves boutique brands. So at
Hmm.
what point, is there a stop of, okay, we've reached the limit of producing, 3 million cigars. Are we still considered boutique? You know? or we produced 1.8 million cigars last year. You know, for us as a Rojas brand, but does that still consider us boutique? You know, and I think what Noel is talking about is just exactly right. You know, it's just the quality that
Hmm.
makes you a boutique cigar. You know, and
That's
maybe because you don't invest all this money on advertising, and
Hmm.
you don't do you don't play the game and this and that.
Hmm.
I mean, does that get you anything, right? Like Les is saying, does that get you anything? I mean, I think we're here because of you, the consumers,
Hmm.
that actually help us get on the map. That's that's really what I look at.
well, and I think one of the things that separates you guys, you and I'm going to bring out Luciano, with Ace Prime and some of the things that he's doing, is that you guys do focus on quality. You focus on the quality, and the numbers aren't the main driving force. But it's like you guys, and then Peter with I think Peter's his name, from Tatawahe. Tatawahe is sometimes
Hmm.
considered the godfather of boutique brands, although boutique has been known for longer, but he really had a big impact on bringing boutique to the mainstream market. Is that you guys do focus on quality, but you also focus on the business side as well. You are brand building. While you're
Hmm.
not maybe not be spending, the massive millions of dollars in advertisements that the big four are doing. Not to mention, but we all know who the big four, the big five are.
Yeah.
But you do have, I mean, you're not just focusing and saying, okay, my cigars is going to carry us because of the quality. You understand that there's a business side of it too,
Hmm.
of brand building and getting out there and making the relationships and going out and visiting the stores and visiting the consumers and listening to the consumers. So you bring both of those aspects into it, where you take the revenue that's coming back in and saying, okay, we're going to take this revenue, bring it back into our tobacco, making sure that we're bringing out quality tobacco, quality blends,
Hmm.
quality cigars, and just allowing that cyclical process continue growing by not just focus on just, okay, my cigars are going to be really good, because you can make a really good cigar, but if nobody knows who you are, you're not going to sell it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there's a balance to that as
Hmm.
well. This is my business mind that's coming into play on that,
Right. Right.
and it's a tough balance, because you can
Hmm.
produce $5 million, 5 million cigars a year, but if the blend is okay, then nobody's going to come out and buy it. So
Hmm.
you've got to produce quality, because when I mean, Noel, you stated it earlier when we were talking about small gauges. The cigar smoker, Red and myself, those who were, as what you described, the specialists, we're going to come back. I'm going to buy another box of the KSG when
Hmm.
I see it. I have bought boxes of the street tacos. I've bought boxes of the statements and the blue bonnets. Why? Because the quality is there.
Hmm. It's like it's like when y'all announced that y'all were coming out with the KSG again. I was like immediately said, okay, I need to get a box of those because I know they're freaking phenomenal. I hadn't smoked it in 2 years, but I remember 2 years ago how phenomenal it was. And that's the thing is like, when you have the cigar consumers who do smoke plenty of cigars and they can remember that cigar from 2 years ago to come back and say, okay, I need to get a box of these and I'm praying that I can get it because I know it's going to sell out just like that. Like he said, it sold out in the day. And I'm just like waiting, like antsy, like I've got to get the box, I've got to get a box before it's completely sold out. So that speaks volumes for itself right there. Um, so uh, Albert from Leaf and Grain posed his question. and he always asks, "What cigars are y'all smoking besides y'all's? Y'all's is y'all's favorite. So what else do y'all enjoy smoking besides Rojas?"
Well, I smoke everybody's cigars. When I'm in the state, I go to stores, and I mean, me and Albert, we buy cigars from everybody because we want to see what is out there. Now, one
Hmm.
cigar, or some cigars that I really like and I have a lot of respect for, it's William Ventura. He's coming out with some really good,
Oh yes. Mm,
Oh.
yeah.
and I like the way he makes his cigars. He have really good construction of them. Um, I smoke plenty of his cigars, and
Hmm.
they always deliver.
Hmm.
He's coming out with really good products, and that's one of the cigars that I like to smoke when when I'm not just researching on the market.
Hmm.
That's one of the cigars that I like to smoke. And plus,
I
he's a
tend to
yeah.
I tend to smoke my father La Dueña. That's what I smoke.
Oh yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
And and it's funny that you mentioned that because when we were talking about boutique brands and people, who's like, oh, they're not boutique. My father is one that comes to mind because my father still can be classified as boutique, although they're fairly well known, in so many different markets
Right.
and great cigars.
I mean,
Right.
in my opinion, to add to that, the amount of cigars that we can make in yearly basis is going to be always uh, regulated by the amount of tobacco that we grow
Hmm.
with the quality we need to make those cigars.
Hmm.
So going back to the point of focusing on quality, no quantity,
Hmm.
um, as we increase the amount of tobacco we grow and the amount of tobacco that we can age, we will be able to increase the amount of cigars we make. We can get to the point that we are as known worldwide, for example, as my father's cigars, and still be a boutique brand because you're still on the you're still on the line of not sacrificing
Hmm.
quality for quantity. And going back to always that number of always that amount of cigars that we will make in yearly basis can be regulated or determined by the amount of tobacco we have available to make
Hmm.
that cigar consistently. You know.
Well, and I also like what Les put in the comment. And by the way, I don't. Do y'all see how like I don't have anything? It's like straight to the nub. Um, it says the key to boutique is the responsible owners making site visits to the local brick and mortar retail, building the relationships with the retail tobacconists who make the recommendations to their clients, and also making the time for retailers' events, which Noel, like y'all absolutely do. And it kind of brought full circle what I said earlier is I think that kind of also sets boutique apart is like, when you come and you do events, sometimes the reps might be there, but a lot of times you will pop in and you'll go and see how it's going, and then you're busy going around asking what you like, what's something, what do you not like, what would you change? Is the profile good, and how's it smoking? So I think that is, y'all focus on the brick and mortar because of the clientele that goes there. So I think that kind of brings it back full circle.
I think one of my favorite examples of that is that there was one Sunday afternoon, you were in town, Noel, and there was a group of us at the UG, and we were starting the Nicaraguan cigar specialist box that you put out a couple years ago. And you came down there for that time, and it was just, I mean, we just posted in the underground group that we were going to be there. You showed up there, and you walked us through the first set of primings that we were doing, which was the secos in each of the three different regions that you have in the box, and walked us through what we needed to look for. Gave us tips on cutting the particular because they're very small vitolas, and then went around. There was like six of us, and asked us what we were getting each of those, and then talked to us about how to write those down in on the cards that you have in there. And so you paid a lot of attention to what we needed to do to utilize this kit to really to enhance our experience and build our profiles, build our palettes up of understanding the notes of cigars. So I think that's a perfect example of what we've been talking about, and back to the attention that you pay to the consumers.
So the next question I have is, what is the future? What's coming up for Rojas Cigars?
Um,
This is a
we're actually,
conversation him and I have had for a while now. Back and forth, back and forth.
yeah,
We ask everybody this too.
And that's what we hear. It's going back and forth, back and forth. So yes.
we're actually working now on the 10th anniversary blend, uh, which,
Oh,
which we're gonna have samples, plenty of samples for consumers and customers. Uh, Albert's gonna get some of those so he can give me an idea on what he thinks about it. We're using on this particular one a particular variety of tobacco, which is a mix between Pelo de Oro variety. It's a hybrid between Pelo de Oro variety and broadleaf, and it
oh,
came out really, really, really cool. Especially the Pelo de Oro. It's a very aromatic tobacco with a lot of sweetness and creaminess. Then you have also the intensity of that flavor and creaminess out of the broadleaf with the punch and the strength on it. Uh, that's something that is coming out the 10th anniversary. We're working on that, and as well working on the filling out the portfolio for the Rojas brand. Street tacos. There are things coming out, probably not this year, but we will have a release of street tacos lengua, street taco chorizos, uh, uh, street tacos al pastor. So all of that is coming. Uh, we just want to make sure that we have tobaccos that are different, so we can make different uh, uh, blends that they don't compete with each other. You know.
It, and Albert's over there.
I,
But when we're talking about like the other street tacos, we're talking about maybe in a couple 3 years or so.
Right.
You know, we want to make sure that what we have now that it's actually doing good and that it's
Hmm.
it's still the same as the same smoke as when you first smoked it the very first time.
Hmm.
To now it's still the same smoke.
Hmm.
We want to be that consistent, which is
Yeah.
tough to do and it's tough to
That.
be. But that's our goal, that we want to make sure that when you first smoke that brand, that it's the same, cigar that you smoke. And then the other way around too, if it's the first time that you smoked it and it wasn't for you, maybe this next time around that you smoke it, it gives you a better vibe than it did the first time.
Hmm.
we're going to see, or let me ask it this way. Really put you both on the spot. Can you guys give us any hint or any insight as to what we may see at PCA 23?
Ooh.
Yeah, it's gonna be. We're gonna do the 10 years for PCA. That's what we're gonna do.
Okay.
Oh, and we'll be at PCA this and so
Hmm.
this year was our first time at the TPE,
Yeah.
and we will be at PCA this year as well. So absolutely look forward to seeing it. So we've got a couple of requests. One that's really interesting from Les
Yes.
Love.
Yes. That's what I was looking at, and I was smiling big because I like that corojo.
Uh, Please bring out something new with a Corojo wrapper. And so I want to, you know, this is a request from a consumer, and as
But you
you
have it
guys.
already. You have it already in the blue bonnet.
Yes.
Okay. And I thought it was I thought it was that, but I was like, I'm not sure.
Now, which Corojo wrapper is in the blue bonnet? And Noel, this one kind of goes to you. Is what is your favorite wrapper to work with?
Man, that's a tough question. Um,
They're also good.
it's a tough question because I mean I love broadleaf wrapper from Connecticut,
Hmm.
especially from Connecticut, not PA. And we just got a good connection with the people who grows that wrapper. So we think we shouldn't have any issues getting that wrapper this year. So that's something we want to use. I really like broadleaf Connecticut wrapper. It's just an amazing wrapper. It's one wrapper that I haven't been using just because there's not plenty of it. You know, I can
Right.
get one bale here, one bale there, but I actually went to Connecticut and I talked to the growers there. We have some really good connections, and we're gonna start getting that wrapper very soon this year. Start working on some blends.
Mm.
I mean, I love just the way that Habano wrapper from Ecuador blends with everything you make. It's just
Hmm.
smooth. It's easy to work with, and it's mainly what most of the consumers actually smoke. It's Habano cigars. Not everybody smoke Maduro cigars. That's a real thing. Uh, but the Sumatra wrapper, if I said that's actually one of my favorite wrappers. It's just because it's like the Habano, which is easy to play with, but on top of that, it has more creaminess, and it have more uh, creamy notes per se on the back end. The complexity, the how easy it's to balance with different cigars. I don't know. I just love that Sumatra wrapper from Ecuador. It's really amazing.
I you mentioned two of my favorite, and Ray can talk to this. I mean, I love the Ecuadorian Habano and love the Ecuadorian Sumatra. How you get a, with the Ecuadorian Habano, you get a little bit of the pepperiness on it, but you still got that creaminess, and you got that sweet tropical fruit note at the back end, and then on the Sumatra you've got that earthiness, and then still, because it's Ecuadorian Sumatra, you get that sweet fruitiness, tropical fruitiness on the back end. It's such complexity in both of those, and I'm really getting into the broadleaf, and I'm with you. I prefer the Connecticut broadleaf over the Pennsylvanian broadleaf. I think they're just great cigars. Have heard that the Connecticut broadleaf that the broadleaf is harder to work with just because of how thick that wrapper is.
Well, I was at Oliva Tampa Tobacco the other day picking some wrappers, and they were showing me this new seed that they have been working on, and it's actually a hybrid between Corojo 99 and Broadleaf, and it's a sun grow wrapper. It's just, I mean, they just get it from the fields and they're fermenting it, and it's coming out. It's a sun grow wrapper, and it's coming out. I mean, it's starting fermentation now, and they will have plenty of it. That's another wrapper that I'm looking forward to play with because
Oh
uh,
man, look at the time. Whoo, we gotta go.
I,
I'm
I,
surprised you haven't said cierra la boca, cállense, cállense. No más, no más. I can see
I
it
was
going
I'll
in
call
your
you right back,
brain.
Noel. I'll call you right back.
I'm getting hungry too. So, well, that's actually one of the rappers I'm looking forward to work with. And Albert, did you read the text that I sent you on WhatsApp?
Yeah, I saw that. I saw that. I
I
saw
just want to say, I just want to say,
that. You can't even say it with a straight face.
you know, when I get to the States, I was sad and lonely, and I had no friends. I met the people in the cigar industry, and I said, I want to be part of this company. And then I said I want to make a team that is provided for this company. I want to be part of this company. That's freaking out with everything we're doing from the bottom of the heart of our company.
Stop! 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 Sorry, guys, it's an inside joke.
Um,
I love it. I love it.
This well, it's true, but it's also a metaphor
Yes, it is.
for
Yes, it is.
something we know we're talking about.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of different rappers that we really want to play with, and that's the beauty of it, and that's the beauty of the cigar industry, that it's not just stuck in there. There are new varieties
mhm,
of tobacco, new hybrids coming out, uh, new products that have never been grown or released that you want to make sure
mhm,
you can get different profiles out of it, and that's really what get me going. It's okay. How can we make things different and better? That's the
mhm,
whole, you know. And going back to what you, Astrid, was saying, visiting brick and mortar stores, I would love to spend more time with the stores because I love to sit there, smoke cigars with them, know about their story, how they're doing, how business is doing for them, what are they getting out of customers in terms of cigars and tobaccos and things like that. It's just the more we grow, the more that the factory
mhm.
is soaking my time. Like today, we're working. Everybody's working in the packaging room. We have a couple of pairs working on production. I have the full team working on the fermentation of tobacco because all the tobaccos are coming to uh, time to flip it and get it wet and all of
Mhm,
that at the same time. And it's gonna be like this for the next month. It's just
mhm.
working every single day from 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. Uh, it's just, and I have to be there like a chef, making sure that things get done the way that it should be. Because on the fermentation side of it, if the tobacco is ready to be flipped because the temperature is too high, you cannot wait 2 days. You have to do it that day.
Good then.
Right.
You
Right.
have to do it because it's like you're cooking a steak, and
You'll burn it.
tomorrow exactly. Tomorrow I'm gonna take it out of the fire. That's not gonna be good. And
Mm-mm.
that's just for our customers, brick and mortar stores, if they're looking at this, I just want them to know that it's just factory sucking a lot of my time. I can make it the way that I make it in the past. The more we grow, eventually, the way that I'm seeing this is, when I find somebody that I can trust to run fermentation process, then I will have a little bit more time, and somebody that I can trust on the blending side of it and keeping up with the cigars that are being made daily and the blends are consistently, then we will have plenty of time really to go around and visit shops and things like that and make events and shake hands with our consumers. Uh, I think for next year we will have more time. We already have,
Mhm.
so uh, that's for all my customers and consumers out there.
We call those high class problems. I mean, it's one of those things that comes along with growth, and it has been a fantastic journey that Red and I
Mhm.
have talked about a number of times. Of you know, we. We've known you for a number of years, and we've seen your journey grow. I mean, seeing you as you're traveling across the U.S. and coming into new
Well, the
stores and
world
coming
now.
the world now, yeah, and
Yeah.
coming into new stores, increasing your market, the different blends. I can't tell you how excited we all were seeing the growth of just the building of the factory from
Mhm.
when you purchase the building and seeing how it's growing, as what we talked about, and the manufacturing of it and the building of it, and then the grand opening and seeing all the pictures of the grand opening and just that celebration of it. We're celebrating with you on this
Mhm.
other end of it, and so we thank you and appreciate everything that you're
Mhm.
doing to keep keep the Rojas quality and brand growing for all of us to be able to consume
Mhm.
such great cigars.
Well, we couldn't make it without you guys.
It's
And you have
true.
a pretty cool guy running it, like stepping in when you're not there. So I have to give kudos to Albert.
Absolutely. Love coming into an event and seeing Albert there, and just being able to kind of reminisce a little bit and catch up on what's going
Mhm.
on, and just you know consider you guys my brothers in this, and love it.
Same.
What
Appreciate that.
So thank you guys for coming on. I know, Noel, you and I have talked about this for a while. Albert, you and I have talked about this. We've all talked about this. Appreciate you guys taking the time out of
Yes.
your day to sit on here with us. Uh, we're the Twisted Pair and Leaf and Grain, because that's what we focus on is
Mhm.
the pairings and bringing everything out. This year, 2023, our theme when we're doing pairings is around the full food pairing. So food, cigar, and drink. And we've done a number of them. And so my question to you guys is, do you have a particular type of food that you would love to see us do a pairing, explore a pairing on?
Yes. Why don't you do a pairing with some chicken fajitas and the unfinished business?
Okay. I need to find
Can
some
I
more
add the
unfinished
vodka to
business.
it? Can I
Yes.
add the vodka? I'm going to
All
do it with
Yes,
the
right.
vodka.
absolutely. Yes.
Let's do it. Oh, okay,
Okay.
so all right, I got to put this one up. Les wants to know, can we get a cigar that benefits breast cancer called the Pink Taco?
Love it. We'll put the box pink. How about
There you
that?
go.
And
We don't want to we don't want to encourage you into getting into into some brand building that might conflict with the other pink
uh-huh.
uh, the other pink
Exactly.
cigar.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Exactly.
Well,
So,
and you talk about like the thing. I remember when Noel, when you were creating the boxes for the street tacos, and you were building them and like asking, okay, do you like the green ones? Do you like the orange ones? Like, and then what do you think this looks like? And it's really neat to be a part of that experience. And so if you're on Facebook, he has fans of Rojas, and then he's also on Instagram for Rojas Cigars,
Rojas again.
and then on Facebook, Rojas Cigars as well. So make sure that you are following. There we go. There's in the Rojas Cigars, and
Thank
then
you
make
for
sure you're
reminding me of that.
following. Yes. So make sure you're following them. And please, if you haven't tried them, your local brick and mortar. I know that we're big here in Texas. As we always say, underground ships. We have them in McKinney and Plano. And in fact, when you first walk into the humidor, you go to the right. There's unfinished business and the street tacos. So come out and see me, and I'll show them to you. So yeah, you know, pick some up and enjoy them. So, because that's what they're made
And
for.
always tag us on Facebook or on social media. Just always tag us
Definitely.
because we I posted on my page and Noel
Mhm.
posts on everybody's too. So it's always good when we get tagged on Instagram and social media because we just it's like spreading the love for
Yeah,
everybody else.
spreading the gospel,
And,
the
That's
Yes.
good
right.
gospel.
and excuse me for a
Yes.
second, just want to show something to Albert. After almost 7 months, we finally have a meeting table.
Ooh.
Oh,
So,
Ooh,
so
finally!
is this
love.
in your, wow, is this in your factory
No, yes, that's the factory. That's his office
That's my
upstairs.
office.
that looks over? That is very nice.
Very nice.
But I have been waiting for this table like for 7 months. Took forever. Anyways, want to show
That's
you.
where the magic happens.
That's right. That's
Now you
right.
have a place to go and sit and talk shop, Albert.
Yes.
That you're gonna have to make another trip down to Nicaragua.
Soon. I will be down there soon. You guys are
Very,
more than
very
welcome
good.
to join me if you guys want.
I
I know.
I know that I
Hmm.
have plans to go down there, and as you both know, because we've talked, we want to expand and actually get into, being more part of the process with our own cigars. And while that's not our main business is what we're doing now is around education of cigars, whiskeys, wines, coffees, teas, yes, all of it, and the pairings of it. We love the cigars, and we want to be part of the full process to really
Mm-hmm.
understand, because
Yeah.
it's that immersion that really helps you
Mm-hmm.
grow in the business. And where you guys are on one side of the business, we're on the other side
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
of the business. And so partnering up with Rojas and all of the other different brands of helping increase, like what you both know, David Skelton from the Texas Cigar Roadshow. We want to grow the culture, and we want to explore the pairings. That's
Yeah.
where our
Mm-hmm.
passion is with all
Mm-hmm.
of that.
Yeah.
Um, Again, thank you guys for
Yes, thank
for
you.
coming on. This has been a great time, great conversations, learning a lot from you both throughout all of this. We appreciate you guys coming on with us on this. It's been a fun time.
Thank you
Yes,
for having us.
Thank you for
thank
having.
you. Thank you so much for joining us. And
So
then
next
next week,
week, next week we have a pairing. I think we have our challenge.
unfinished
I need to
business.
find some unfinished business because I'm out.
Well, and I have like one full pack from the original release that I put in my Jeep Tupperware that I've not, but also have them up at the shop. So I'm excited with
There you
chicken
go.
fajitas.
All
Yeah.
right, so everybody, all of viewers, you've heard the challenge. We always ask you guys to bring the pairings and talk about it as well. So next week, unfinished business, and you said a chicken taco,
Chicken
I
fajitas. Chicken
Ch-
chicken
chick,
fajitas.
fajita,
chicken fajitas. Okay,
And
so
Tito's vodka.
Tito's
and
vodka.
Tito's vodka, unfinished business with chicken fajitas. So that's what we're doing next week.
Yes.
All right. Well, thank you guys. As we always close it out, Red. See you next week. Explore the pairings.
There's something for everyone. Y'all have a good night, y'all.
Good night, y'all.
Bye.
Good
Good night.
night.
Bye.
Night.